Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
The Blue Jays just got linked to a player that most fans have completely written off, and honestly, this might be one of the most misunderstood situations in the entire offseason because Toronto is reportedly pursuing Japanese first baseman Munitaka Murakami, and the narrative around him has been completely wrong based on a stat that turned out to be flat out inaccurate. This is Blue Jays Nation News, where we cut through the noise and break down what actually matters for Toronto's roster. And today we're diving into why Murakami might be way more interesting than people realize and what it means for the Blue Jays offseason strategy. Smash that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications because there's a lot more happening here than the headlines suggest. Let's start with what we know. Multiple reports over the past few days have confirmed that the Blue Jays have serious interest in Munetaka Murakami. John Rossi doubled down on this yesterday. Reports earlier this week mentioned Toronto battling the Red Sox for his services. Other teams in the mix include the Mariners, Tigers, and Mets. So there's real interest here from multiple organizations. But the market has been weirdly quiet considering Murakami's track record in Japan, and there's a specific reason why that's been the case. A few weeks ago, a tweet went viral claiming that Murakami hit just 95 against pitches 93 miles per hour or harder last season in the NPB. That tweet got 3.5 million views, and suddenly the entire baseball world assumed Murakami couldn't handle velocity. Writers picked it up, fans repeated it, even some reporters treated it as fact. The narrative became that he's a boom or bust prospect who might not translate to Major League Baseball because he struggles against hard throwers. Except here's the problem. That stat wasn't true, at all. When people actually dug into the numbers, they found that Murakami was significantly above league average against velocity in 2025. He posted an 833 OPS versus pitches 95 miles per hour or harder, and an 826 OPS against 93 plus. Those aren't struggling numbers. Those are good numbers that show he can handle heat just fine. So suddenly a player who got dismissed by a huge portion of the media and fan base because of one viral misleading stat is back on the table as a legitimate option. Now let's talk about what Murakami actually brings. He's 25 years old, entering his age 26 season. He hit 56 home runs in 2022, showing legitimate elite power potential. His career OPS in Japan sits at 945, which is outstanding production over multiple seasons. He's a left-handed bat with serious pop, and he can play both first and third base. That positional flexibility matters because it gives Toronto options depending on how the rest of the roster shakes out. Ken Rosenthal called him the biggest mystery in the market because we haven't heard many teams heavily involved, and he's something of a boom or bust guy in the eyes of clubs. That boom or bust label comes from the uncertainty of how Japanese hitters translate to Major League pitching. Sometimes it works brilliantly. Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Seiya Suzuki. Other times it doesn't pan out as expected. Masataka Yoshida with the Red Sox has been solid, but not the game changer they hoped for. So teams are naturally cautious, especially when committing significant money. But here's the thing. If the velocity concerns were the main reason teams were hesitant, and those concerns are based on bad information, then Murakami's market should heat up once teams realize he's not the liability against fastballs that people thought. And Toronto being aggressive here makes sense because they desperately need left-handed power. That's been a glaring hole in this lineup for years, and Murakami would address it immediately if he produces anything close to his Japan numbers. Before we keep going, hit that like button if you think Murakami is worth pursuing, or drop a comment if you think the risk is too high for what Toronto needs right now. The big question is where he fits on the roster. If the Blue Jays land Kyle Tucker, does that change their Murakami calculus? Probably not, because Tucker plays outfield and Murakami would slot into the infield. You could play Murakami at first, move Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to third if needed, or use Murakami at third and keep Vlad at first. There's flexibility there depending on who else Toronto brings in. And honestly, having too many good bats is a great problem to have. You figure out the defensive alignment later. Another option is pairing Murakami with Bichette if Tucker signs elsewhere. That gives you two impact, left-handed bats, addresses power concerns, and keeps the lineup balanced. Ernie Clement could slide around the diamond to accommodate everyone. It's not a perfect fit defensively, but offensively it would be a significant upgrade. And at this point in the offseason, Toronto needs to prioritize adding elite talent over worrying about perfect defensive configurations. Here's what makes this interesting. Murakami's 45-day negotiating window is closing soon. He has to make a decision, and teams have to decide how aggressive they want to be. Toronto being in the mix now suggests they're not content to just sit around waiting for Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette situations to resolve. They're exploring multiple avenues, creating backup plans, and making sure they don't walk away empty-handed if their top targets go elsewhere. John Morosi recently confirmed Toronto's interest, and that matters because Morosi has solid sources within the organization. When he reports something, it's usually based on real conversations, not speculation. So the Blue Jays are legitimately engaged here, running the numbers, evaluating fit, and deciding how much they're willing to commit to land Murakami before another team swoops in. One thing worth noting is that other Japanese free agents like Roki Sasaki and Tatsuo Mai haven't signed yet either. The market for international talent has been slower than expected, possibly because teams are being more risk-averse after some recent misses. But that caution creates opportunity. If everyone else is hesitating, Toronto can be aggressive and land a player who might have cost significantly more in a different market environment. Cody Ponce, one of Toronto's recent signings, just did his media availability and said he wants to win baseball games and win a World Series, and he'll do anything to help the team achieve that. You know, that quote sounds eerily similar to what Dylan Cease said when he joined Toronto. And it's not a coincidence. The Blue Jays just made the World Series. They're viewed as legitimate contenders now. Players want to be part of that. Free agents are taking Toronto seriously in ways they haven't in years. That shift matters enormously when you're trying to convince guys to come to Toronto. It's not just about money anymore. It's about winning, about being part of something special, about having a real shot at a championship. Buck Martinez said yesterday he thinks there's an 80% chance Bo Bichette returns because Bo wants to win with the Blue Jays. That confidence comes from understanding how players view this organization right now. They see opportunity, they see momentum, and they want in. In getting Dylan Cease signed early was a massive win for Toronto because the starting pitching market has completely stalled since then. Max Fried signed, but after that, Jack Flaherty, Nathan Eovaldi, Sean Manaea, Michael King, Zach Allen, all still unsigned. The market is moving slowly, and Toronto locked down one of the best available arms before prices potentially spike later. That's smart, proactive front office work that sets them up to focus resources elsewhere. So here's the question for Blue Jays Nation. Do you think Murakami is worth pursuing aggressively? Does the combination of left-handed power and positional flexibility make him a fit even with the inherent risk of international signings? Or should Toronto focus entirely on Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette and avoid spreading resources too thin? Get in the comments and let me know where you stand on this. Like this video if you want more Blue Jays off-season coverage. Subscribe so you catch every update as these situations develop. Turn on notifications because decisions are coming soon. Christmas is right around the corner, and hopefully Toronto delivers a big present in the form of a major signing that changes the entire complexion of this roster. Things are lining up, the pieces are moving, and the next few weeks will define everything about the Blue Jays 2025 season.